We are back again with another aerial effects video, and as you guys know through the title, we will be doing another audit video here for the month of December. As promised to you guys, I'm going to be doing them every single solitary month to show you full transparency, every single trade, wins, losses, you name it. We're going to go over every single solitary piece of analysis, trade idea, whatever you want to call it, that was sent throughout the month of December to my VIP Discord group. Now, the point of these videos, if you guys haven't seen my other videos in the past, is not to kind of boast or brag or anything like that. It's really to provide people who want to learn the skill the right way, who haven't found a group that can really mentor them and show them how not only trading is supposed to work, but how trading can be done consistently. So giving you that peace of mind to go into learning so that you make the right investment in your education. Here's what I'm going to provide to you guys is that full transparency, because let's face it, guys, this industry is just filled with fake traders, people who falsify profits, falsify entries, who just promote lifestyle and can't really consistently trade. And the only way they make money is trying to take your money. So it's really, kind of been frustrating, seeing all this stuff on social media. And that's kind of why I started this series, is to provide, full transparency, going through every single piece of analysis that was sent in my VIP Discord group to give you guys an exact breakdown of everything sent out, all the wins, all the losses, and we're going to tally everything up at the end to show you the exact return that you could make just in the month of December here if you are a part of my VIP Discord group. Now, what I will say is those of you who already are a part of my group, and those of you who know us very well, you should know that we don't do signals, right? We don't do handouts. We don't do any of that bull crap that really doesn't work. Right? We did signals in the past. They were good signals. However, it created way too much dependency and not enough self-sufficient traders. And our ultimate goal is to take you to a fully funded 6-7 figure trader over the course of the next 12 months. That's our overall goal. And that is what we will strive to do with every single one of our clients. And so many of them are doing that today. And I'm so proud of you all. We had a phenomenal 2022 year, and I'm very excited to get into 2023. So, to quickly sum up everything that I really want to say before I get into this video here is that all the trades that you will see have been sent out to the group at some time this month. We can see that the date is right here, the time, the discussion of what was talked about, and the actual before piece of analysis. Everything sent here is either before or during or after pictures, right? Because we're looking at what is going on beforehand to see where could price go. Then I'll also give updates, so you will not see me go over everything because some of them are just updates on the current trades that we have already talked about in this video as well. So what I won't do is I'm not going to, in my VIP group, give take profits or stop losses. I will do that on occasion. You can obviously see my risk to reward tools in here, which we do provide risk to reward tools. So in that sense, you guys can take it as trade ideas if you want to, and be able to place those trades. However, seeing the analysis, seeing the overall areas of interest that we're giving, and understanding the concepts, even down to just a surface level understanding, you guys would easily be able to understand where to place your take profits and your stop losses. If I was going to give that to you, then it would just be signals, and that's just what we don't do. Because psychologically, when you take signals and you are consistent with them, meaning if I provide signals and you consistently make money, you are going to become dependent. You are not going to want to learn how to trade. You are just going to want to continue taking them because you love the fact that you're making a lot of money. And that's not what we're here about. I won't be around forever, neither will my team. We want to provide you with the skills necessary so you can do this as a full-time career, and we have done that for so many people, and I want to do that for you too. Those of you who are a little hesitant about joining a group because you don't know what kind of value you would get out of them, and I'm here to provide that transparency for you. So that's the reason I don't give take profits or stop losses in my group. However, I give these entries out all the time. All these entries is where I'm looking to get in myself. I just don't give the exact stop loss or take profits. So all the take profits that are shown here are the ones that I personally took. All the stop losses are the ones I personally placed. It may be different for some of you VIP members, but if you followed just the general rule of thumb that I'll be going over throughout the video, you should probably be seeing similar results. So without further ado, let's just get right into it and let's talk about our first pair. So we're looking at AUD CAD here, and we are looking at a pullback into an area of demand in which we ran liquidity prior, and we made a higher high. So we're continuing with this overall uptrend, and we're looking for another higher high. So a pullback into a repricing area to continue, and I'll get into the chart. Now, before I get into the chart, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down quickly just a brief explanation of what we were looking for, and then the overall picture on how it played out here. All right, so I'm going to go to AUD CAD, and that's exactly what happened. We came into that level and we made a higher high for a nice 1 to 3.4 risk to reward there. All right, so that was really nice, 9.3. However, that wasn't my overall take profit. I had 1, I had 2, and I had 3 up here. It did not hit my third take profit. So what we do when we have multiple take profits is we have to split up our positions. So if we have 3, we take 0.33% off here, 0.33% off here, and then the rest of our position off at the overall level. So in this case, since we have 3, we had 0.33 plus 0.33. We took out 0.66% return, or 0.66% of the position, excuse me, of the overall return here. So we can see when it came up into 9.3, our second take profit, we would be up 3.39%, and then we took 0.66% off, and we left the rest to run, which never hit overall take profit, and then we came down and we hit break even. So in this case, we only made 2.2%. So we're going to write that down as our overall take profit for AUD CAD. So we did not hit our overall return, but we did take partials 2 times, and we did move stop to break even. It did eventually hit, but we were able to secure 2.2%. All right, let's go back to the Discord here, and let's go to the next one. So AUD NZD, we're looking for overall shorts. These we talked about last month. So in the month of November, that audit video that I did talk about this particular trade alongside this one. This one didn't hit, but this one hit beautifully, and we just missed our stop loss, which was really good. Good stop loss placement, and we ended up rallying to the downside. So we were looking for an additional position here on December 1st. You can see right here, there's the date, there's the time. So we're looking for an additional position, and if I just go to the charts here on AUD NZD, we will see that it just did not hit. Where was it? It was up here. It did not hit here. So this was the lower time frame distribution, and that was where we placed our stop, as you can see in the prior Discord picture right there. This is just a higher time frame view, and that was our entry. We never got that retracement back up into it. It just kept falling. All right, so we did not hit there, so there's no trade. Next one here. NZD JPY. So with NZD JPY, we were looking for continuations long. We're in an overall uptrend, and we're looking for higher time frame objective points way up here. All right, so we're looking at entering from this area of demand. We can see that we pushed up, made a high, failed to make a lower low, and then made a higher high. So we're just looking for continuations with the lower time frame trend. We can see we came into a higher time frame demand to the left. I'm not going to go deep into depth with all of this analysis. VIP, you guys can check me on everything here. You can check me on the percent return. You can calculate it alongside me. You can check me on the analysis. Feel free to do so. If I am wrong, please correct me. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over all this analysis. VIP, you have already seen this already. So we came into demand, made another higher high, looking to pull back. We had 2 entries, so half risk and half risk. When we have 2 positions, we do half and half. We don't do 1 and 1 because that would be double the risk on something that would just be one particular trade. So if this actually fell to the downside, we would lose 2% instead of 1. So that's why we do half and half. All right, so let's go to NZD JPY. And we can see right in here that we had an overall take profit 1 that was hit first. So we had 2 entries. One was here, one was here. This position here did lose 0.5%. We did not come up to the prior high to get out at first take profit, and we ended up falling to the downside. However, the first position that entered here came up and did hit first take profit. So let me just remind you guys, this is not the overall risk to reward. Okay, this was just the risk to reward of when we first hit our take profit, or the last take profit that was hit in the trade. So if my second take profit was hit way up here at this previous high, then I would have extended it to that previous high there. We were looking for overall return at 90. We can see that we ended up trickling back to the upside and then before falling. So it wouldn't have hit it anyways, but we ended up coming back down a little prematurely. We still maintained our structure. We can see that if we did place our stop loss below that level, then we would have still been in the trade, and we would have probably hit second take profit, which we would have. However, for the sake of risk to reward, that wasn't the proper stop loss. So in this case here, we hit our first take profit, and since this was half risk, we have to divide 1.1 by 2, and then since there were 3 take profits, divide that by 3, and we get a total of 0.18% return. So guys, if you're not having multiple different take profits, and these take profits are going to be placed at levels in which the market is, I wouldn't say highly probable to react, but if the market is going to go in, not in your direction, where would that be? So locate those points, and it's usually above previous swing points. It's usually at levels of supply or demand or institutional liquidity runs. So let's just say that I was looking to sell somewhere in here, right? So if I was selling, where would I look to place my take profit? Well, it would have to be in here because this was the prior swing point. Higher high, higher low, higher high. This was the sell to buy demand volume that swept all of this liquidity in here, right? We swept all of that liquidity. So sell to buy, and then we made a move. So the start of that demand zone lies right there. So we would have to place our take profit right there, and that's exactly what would have happened. We had an initial reaction, came back down a second time, but ended up rallying to the upside. And that's exactly why we were looking to buy it from that level. So if we were selling in here, that's where we would have to have our take profit. And look, that would have been a great take profit to have. So people who are looking to take profit down in here wouldn't have won this trade. They probably could have easily come back and hit stop loss because they probably would have placed it above this high, which we ended up running. So that's why we have to be looking at areas in the market, not looking at, percent return in the sense of, getting out at a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 or getting out at 50 pips or 30 pips. You can't look at it in terms of numbers here. When it comes down to calculating risk to reward, yes, we can, but not when it comes down to taking profit, or taking partials, I should say. When it comes down to taking partials, you should always be closing your partials at likely levels that price could reverse from you. And in this case, it would be here for if you potentially sold it. Obviously, we didn't. We looked to buy it here. But just to give an example, you would have had your take profit there. But for this example, you would have had your take profit right at the previous swing high because we can see we have equal highs. Price could have easily run it and went short, which is exactly what happened. So we did secure a little bit of money, move stop to break even after take profit 1 was hit. So we didn't lose on this trade. We actually made a little bit of money. But then we came down, hit our second one, and we actually did lose at a 0.5%. So calculating it total, negative 0.32% on that particular trade. Hopefully you guys are starting to make sense of how we're going to be breaking this down, how this is going to work, how I'm running through every single one of these pieces of analysis, how we're moving stop to break even or when we're doing so, and how we're taking partials. So if you guys can get in the habit of doing this stuff and picking up on these clues that I'm leaving behind with you, this can significantly help your trading. But again, this is all fully transparent, giving you exactly what we're looking for, and all the trades that have been sent. So guys, at the end of the day, if you followed every single piece of analysis that was sent, you would end up with a certain percent return. And I'm going to discuss that at the very end when I do the full calculation. You would see a really, really nice return at the end of each month. But you have to follow everything, and you have to be, doing your due diligence. And it doesn't even matter, how good of a trader you are. Obviously, the VIP members are here to learn, and we are guiding them, building their skills. However, if you are, just taking these trades when we send them out, you would still be making money in doing so. So, fully transparent, of course. Name someone else who would do something like this. I would love to speak with them and, be friends with them, because I love traders who are fully transparent, people who are willing to, go through their entire group, go through all their wins, all their losses. If you guys are currently a part of another mentorship and they are not doing that, ask them to do that. And if they say no or end up not doing it, then something's fishy, right? The real traders are the ones who are going to be showing their trades. That's why I've been doing it for the past 4 months. And I'm not going to stop doing it because I'm very confident in what I do, and I do this for a living anyways. So providing you guys with this is easy for me. I don't have to hide anything. Next, Euro GBP. So we already talked about this trade. This was last month in November's video, but we had another one right in here, I believe. Maybe that was, let me see, EGs are about to run sell side liquidity, take some partial moves out to break even. This may have been one that we got in from in here. So that was from November. Yeah, that was from November. So we could not, I'm not going to talk about that because we already probably talked about that last month. Let's continue here. Euro GBP, that was a November trade, but that still went into profit. GU, this one hit, I believe, overall TP for a 1 to 6.3. So this was a really, really good trade for GBP USD. This one occurred in November, I believe, as well. This one down in here, yeah, that one was good. So I believe that's what we were talking about there. We're having some other ones. I'm going to be going over this piece of analysis later. This is going to come up a couple times, but I just want to talk about this. This was in November, so I can't calculate that as the overall percent return for December. Have to be transparent, guys. Right? Hedging positions doing their thing. Okay, cool. So USD CAD, this is what we want to look at. So this was a December trade. So let's take a look at USD CAD. Very quickly, quick piece of analysis. We can see that we're currently bullish on this time frame. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? Now we zoom out 4-hour time frame. What are we doing? Lower low, lower high, lower low. Could be in for a lower high, for a lower low. Higher time frame on the daily. We are making now higher highs and higher lows. So we can see that on higher time frame we're bullish, on the medium term time frame we're bearish, and on the lower time frame we're also bullish. So this is the case of where we're going to be looking to hedge. So we look to get in at multiple positions here. We look to sell it here at this level. There was a lower time frame area of supply, so we sold it here at that level, was in great profit, but also hedged with buys from down in here, this level of demand, because that was the previous supply. When we made a lower low, lower high, lower low, we pulled back into that level, failed to generate a lower low in the sequence, and then made a higher high. So that will flip from supply to demand, and we came into that very nicely and rallied. So in this case, since we came into our hedge position, that automatically tells me to move stops to break even and take partials on this trade. All right, so we had 2 TPs here on this particular trade. So we divide that by 2, 1.94, and get 0.97 on the sells. And then we move stops to break even and then hit break even. Longs, we are currently floating in this particular trade 2. From the current price, so down in here, this was the risk to reward. Let me see what I have in my notes. 2.6%, guys. I already did the full analysis of all of this yesterday, so price may have changed a little bit. I think the price was down in here when I did the analysis, so we can see now price has been higher. So we've actually, we're in probably more profit than 2.6%, but there are other ones that may be lower than where I initially had it before. So it all evens out at the end. If you guys understand what I'm saying, some of them would be more today since, I did the numbers yesterday. Some of them would be in more profit, but some of them would be less as we go through. So it all evens out. So I'm just going to stick with what I have in my notes. 2.6% we are currently floating on this particular trade from down in here. We are going to get into this one later. It just hasn't come up yet. Hedge shorts, and then we can see we hedged our shorts from this previous supply zone here, and then we lost 1% on that trade. All right, so we netted together 2.57%. All right, so that's USD CAD. We will probably definitely come back to that. And I did a quick analysis of all the trades from the last week of November to that Friday the 1st, and we can have all of that added up, and I think it was about 39%. It was a phenomenal week. We had GBP USD hit take profit, Euro USD, we had Euro GBP, Euro NZD, we had NZD Chef again, AUD NZD, Euro Chef, NZD CAD. We had a ton of them. We can see the losses as well. Negative 0.5%, negative 1%, 1%, 1%. 1% here. So, fully transparent. I went through all of them, and you guys can even go back. The ones that are in VIP, take a snapshot of this and go back into that previous week, way back, and you can scroll all the way up and see all those trades, and you can see the percent return and how they played out on the charts. So, I can't lie here, guys. I'm trying to just provide transparency, and you guys do what you want to do with that. Anyways, so AUD Swiss franc, we did come into an area of supply, swept a lot of buy side liquidity. We broke structure counter trend, looking to pull back into an area of supply. I know you can't really see it that well, but there's an area of supply here when looking to short from 0.64015. So let's go to AUD Swiss franc, and it is right in here. That's the exact piece of analysis. So we came into that supply level, we swept liquidity, broke structure, pulled back into that level of supply, and now we're all the way down here. We are currently up on this trade, a 5% return. All right, 5% on that trade as of right now. All right, let's go to the next one. This is a Euro JPY. So we had multiple trades here, lower time frame and higher time frame trades. So this is in one time frame a huge expansion. This is one huge pullback. On the lower time frame, this is a higher high, higher low, higher high. We're looking at a higher low. So we came into that here, but we never broke the counter trend structure. We still maintained bearish counter trend structure. So we could not move stops to break even. So we had 0.33% here, 0.33% here, and 0.33% here because we had 1, 2, and 3 trades. So we had to split 1% divided by 3 for each of those 3 trades. So in this case, we lost 0.33% here. The second position, let me just go into the charts to show you what happened. Euro JPY. So we lost right in here. This was the trade down in there. So we lost that one. Or excuse me, it was right in here. We lost that one. This one was this one never hit. This one was another one I'll talk about later. Then we had this one right in here, just hit stop loss. And then this one right in here is currently floating in a little bit of profit. Probably about 1%, not even 1%. So all in all, I don't think I accounted for the one that's in profit. I have negative 0.66%. So I think I just did minus 0.33, minus 0.33. I guess I thought this was at break even. We're actually in profit a little bit on this trade. But anyways, I'll stick with what I have in my notes. It's not going to make much of a difference. Negative 0.2% there. So not too bad. Looking for further upside. If this goes long, great. Then we have a huge 1 to 6.7. Obviously, we have to divide that by 3 because we had 3 positions. But 6, even if this was just 1 to 6, 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 minus the 0.66%, you're still netting profit, right? So it's okay to have multiple positions as long as you have good risk to rewards in the overall trend of the market you're following. All right, next. What is this one? EuroCAD. So this is EuroCAD position on the 1 hour time frame back on December 1st. So we're still in December 1st. EuroCAD, and that was right in here. 1 hour time frame. I marked it all off just so we can see very quickly. We can see that never hit right here. We never pulled back. All right. This is GBP Swiss franc. Okay, so we had multiple positions. We will get into this one and then this one later on in the video, but I'm just going to be talking about this one right now. So we wanted to pull back. We can see we had the clear sell to buy, sweeping equal lows, coming back into this repricing. So sell to buy, chop, 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 higher high. So we made a higher high. What do we expect? Higher low. So we come back down into the area of demand to go long. All right, so that's GBP Swiss franc, and let's take a look at what happened. So right in here, that's exactly what happened, right? I guess I forgot to draw that back up. Those are the equal lows. We ran it, sell to buy, chop, 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 higher high. We pulled back into that level. First take profit was up in here. All right, so we did get stopped out at break even when price finally came back up, hit our first take profit, and rallied back down. Stops were moved to break even on that particular trade. So we had 2 TPs, so we just had to divide 1.37% because you can see that's 1.37 right there, divided by 2, so 0.68% on GBP Chef for this trade here. We'll get into this one here in a minute as well. That one was a winner too. Let's see. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. So again, we're just looking for continuations to the upside. These two were phenomenal trades. That was a part of this right here. You see the 2 NZD Swiss franc ones right there and right there? Yep. See, I mean, I can't make this up, guys. This is all, great stuff. So that was this one and then this one. 2 great trades, and we're looking to get back in the market, just continuing with the overall longs of the market here. So we can look at this area of demand. Then we had another area of demand down in here. So taking a look at those trades, NZD Swiss franc. Where was it? Right in here. So the first take profit we had on this position, we had 3 take profits on this, and we only hit the first one. So we can see that we came back up, hit the first take profit right in there, and then we rallied back to the downside, hitting break even. So we did make 0.38% on that because 2.31, and then we had a half risk, I believe. Yep, half risk on this trade because we had 2 positions, 1 and 1 down in here, and we had 3 TP. So divided by 2 and then divided by 3 again ends up with 0.38. But guys, it's not that hard when you understand the concepts, and I know 0.38% doesn't mean a lot, but when you're doing 0.38%, let's just say maybe 10 times a month, so maybe like 2 times a week, it adds up, right? It really adds up to a lot. And especially if you're even hitting like in 1.5% or even 2%. That's why taking partials is so important at very particular levels, because if you don't take partials, now you're back in drawdown, potentially even hitting your stop if you didn't even move stop to break even here. So that's why, just getting in and out, not sacrificing your profit. You still need to be taking partials at appropriate positions. But doing so at appropriate positions like we did here at the previous swing point, just something simple like that, you can keep it objective, means the world, right? We got out 0.38%, and then we rallied back to the downside and hit break even. So we didn't make not that much, but it adds up over time. It's still a win. Second position, we had 3 take profits, and we had 2 trades here. So one of them was, it should have been here. Because I remember this. I think that's what it was in the thing. Yeah, it was right here. See, we wanted one right below the demand level and then one below the overall low, because this one was a pretty deep stop loss. However, this one provided a really good risk to reward. So I had 2 positions at the same level, so 0.25% and 0.25%. Well, so why do I do 0.25%? Because quarter and quarter is 0.5%, but we also had 0.5% here, so that's 1% total. Got to just split it up. So going back, this I guess I did the math wrong here. This should have been more, right? This should have been more. So, because I was thinking that the stop was down in here when I was doing it. So I was doing the analysis, and I think I put, because I had 0.25% risk, and then we had 3 take profit, so it ended up being just 0.1%. But I think if I put it right back to where it was, that's 3%. Quarter of that, what's that, like 0.75 or something like that, divided by 3. So it should be like 0.25% or something like that. But I just put 0.1. But anyways, I have in my notes 0.58% in total between all 3 positions, so a little over 0.5%. We can see that, we did, our entries are very good. It's just that we ended up breaking structure, and we can see that, towards the end of the year, towards December time, price, usually takes buy and sell side liquidity. So taking liquidity on either side of the market just to create that last spurt of volatility before the end of the year. So I kind of was expecting that, which is why it's also good to take partials when you can, because we can see here, look, took buy side liquidity, and then we ran and we're taking sell side liquidity now. So kind of in that seek and destroy mode towards the end of the year, and then in the beginning of January, probably we'll see that as well. So that's why we take the latter half of December off, and then we come back in after the first week of January. So still we made some profit. Our second take profit was up in here, and our third one was up at 6.2. That's where the 3 take profits come from. All right, so what's next on my list? Where's the next trade, I guess? Down in here. USD JPY. So we were looking for, a huge buy to sell, sweeping descending liquidity. We're overall bearish. We're looking for pullbacks. This one never did. Yeah, we can see price has moved considerably away from these levels. These are no longer valid, so I don't even have to show you that on the chart. I didn't even place it, and obviously you can see right here, it didn't even come up into it. So, yeah, didn't even hit to begin with. NZD CAD, we had one. This was from November 30th, so like the last day of the month. We never ended up hitting these 2 levels. AUD CAD we actually did, but that was in November, and I talked about that on last month's audit video. So just kind of going through all of them that we have here. Some of them just didn't hit, and this one didn't. AUD CAD is still valid though. Okay, so yeah, that's what we were talking about here. So yeah, AUD CAD would have been, I already talked about that, already called it out, already discussed that. This was the first piece of analysis that was discussed in this video here. So we can see that that area of demand was a beautiful trade to the upside for 2.2%. All right, continuing, currently in profit on the hedge position. So this is just giving updates. Some of them I have befores, sometimes I have, afters, and sometimes I have kind of in between, like updates throughout these trades. So we already talked about USD CAD and the hedge buys and the hedge sells here. We had the hedge sells in here as well that we ended up losing, but the buys are in really good profit. So aggregate positions, net profit, that's what we're looking for. Take it trade by trade and not by, take it by, overall profit for all the trades instead of trade by trade. Meaning you don't want to get too butthurt if you lose one trade when the other trade that you hedged on is in bigger profit. So what if you lose the smaller one? You're losing a little amount, but you're winning a big amount. So aggregate positions are still in net profit, if you understand what I'm saying. So I already talked about that one. Euro GBP on this trade here. I'm trying to find where I am in my notes. Let's see. This one in here, Euro GBP. Okay. So we're looking, we were looking for shorts from our level. So remember we talked about this originally. This was from November, so I obviously couldn't talk about it. That one hit take profit 1, which is this black line. And then we created another area of supply looking to pull back up into that level and short off into our overall objective at 0.85. So that was another trade that we talked about. We were looking for shorts. So let's just go to Euro GBP here and see what happened. So I have a few marked off here. That was from, let's see. Yeah, this was from our original level, right? And then this one right in here was the one that we had. So, wait, let me see. Maybe I didn't mark this up fully. Okay, I guess I forgot to put the risk to reward for this huge area of supply. I have lower time frame trades in here. But anyways, this one ended up losing because where is the appropriate take profit, or at least take profit 1, just to keep it objective, the previous swing point, right? So the previous swing point, higher high, higher low, failed to make a higher high, lower low, lower high, looking for a lower low. So this would have been TP1, and we can see we did not hit that, and we rallied to the upside. So negative 1% on the trade from this. We can see where we were in pretty good profit, but we needed to come down into here in order to secure at least take profit 1. Also good for risk to reward purposes as well. So that's Euro GBP. AUD JPY really just ticked me off. Really wasn't the best of trade. I mean, it was a good, really good analysis. It just didn't play out. Higher time frame, we were making, you can see higher highs, higher lows. Higher highs, overall higher low, higher high, higher low. We were looking for a higher high into 100. This was an overall area of supply and objective. But we can see that when we broke the counter trend structure here, I was thinking, oh, this is just going to be a really good pullback to come into our imbalance that came into this area of demand, that came into this area of demand here. So just following the mitigation train to continue long, to take out buy side liquidity and this retail trend line. It ended up respecting retail and making a move to the downside. However, this gives us a really good indication that, you know, price is probably going to go back to the upside at some point, fill in this imbalance, and then sweep all these retail stop losses that people are trading with this retail trend line. At the end of the day, trend lines, they don't make any sense. How does that actually help you determine the exchange between buyers and sellers in the market? Oh, well, the buyers are selling, or the sellers are selling to the buyers, and the buyers are buying from the seller, or whatever you want to talk about. No, that's correct. However, when it comes down to trend lines, where is the money being made? Who is actually moving the market when price is hitting these trend lines? The institutions are doing so to create liquidity. It has no real purpose for the actual move in the market, right? If it was real purpose, then there would be some sort of understanding that, okay, where is the actual order book? Where are the actual orders being followed to say that, okay, we're actually going to come into this level? How are the institutions going to move price short if there's not enough liquidity to actually take it short? Because, okay, I'm probably just confusing you guys. I apologize. That's not what I meant to do here. Anyways, really what I'm trying to say is institutional trading, it's really the only way of trading because it provides the most applicable, justifiable way that the markets actually move. You know, something like trend lines and fibs and chart patterns, it doesn't make much of a difference at all. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It has nothing to do with the way money is being exchanged. I guess that's what I was trying to say all along. So I apologize for confusing you. I was kind of getting lost in what I was trying to say. Anyways, so AJ ended up losing on this trade half and half, so negative 1% there. Continuing, this is Euro CAD. Again, that was the same one, the exact same one right in here that we said did not hit. Let's see, this next one, GBP CAD. So GBP CAD, I have in my notes that did not hit as well. But let's see, let me just pull it up. Yep, right in here. So we go down to the 1 hour. This was the analysis, remember? Demand. We were looking for a higher high, higher low into demand, either one of these three levels, or one of those two levels. And we never got the pullback and we continued. So that is done for. So that did not hit. And we have GBP USD. So we had 4 positions. So one position was right here, one position was right here. So in this case, I treated this as a lower time frame and a higher time frame trade. Meaning these are the lower time frame areas of interest, and if we got the overall pullback, this would be considered an overall higher high for a higher low for a higher high. So I treated this at this and this one as one trade, so half and half, and then this and this one as one trade, half and half. So with the first trade, let's go into GBP USD here. The first trade was right in here. You can see that lower time frame, we swept equal lows, sell to buy, higher high, pulled back, came into the repricing, and we just fell to the downside. So that was a negative 0.5%, but we hit our secondary level. So I'll go back to the hourly. Hit our secondary level here. First take profit was right here. Second take profit was right at 1.2431. The reason for that is because it's a prior supply level. We can see that's the start of the last buy to sell volume that ended up making a lower low within the structure. So that's supply. And then our overall was 1.25 psychological level. So we can see we never hit the 1.25 level, but we did hit 1.24311. So that was take profit 2 being hit. So we had 3 TPs on each of them, as you can see, 1, 2, and 3. So 6.39% divided by 2 because it's half and half, so half risk. That's what, about 3.2%. And then multiply that by 0.66 because we have 0.33 taken out here and 0.33 taken out here, and that equals a grand total of 2.1%. And then the third and fourth positions, at the time I said it didn't hit because that's when we were trading up in here, but obviously it did hit today, and we are just floating at break even right now, a little bit in profit, but I'm not going to count that. All right, so I'm going to be watching that for overall longs. Continuing here, You can see NZD USD. So similar to GBP USD, we had a lower time frame position and the overall higher time frame position here. So with NZD USD, oh, I think I clicked on the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Here we go, NZD USD. And we can see the first one did not hit. It was it did hit, it lost. So higher time frame, this is just an overall higher high because we can see with the swing points, higher high, higher low, overall higher high, and then you kind of had a pullback, higher high again. We had an overall pullback into our level, so we are floating around break even on our third and fourth position, second and third position. This one was a separate one. Sorry if I'm confusing you guys. Let me try to back up here. There was a lower time frame and a higher time frame. So 0.5% and then 0.5% on these. So lower time frame trade, we had the sell to buy. Same thing with GU, looked the exact same. We ended up just breaking right through. So a negative 0.5% there. We rallied back to the upside. This one I'll talk about later in phenomenal profit. Well, actually it did hit overall take profit, which is right here, but came back down into our overall level. So now we are floating at break even right now with our second and third positions. All right, so negative half percent overall for that trade. USD Swiss franc. This one I don't believe hit, but we can just go check it out. USD Swiss franc, the hourly time frame. Yeah, that was right in here. Let's go to the 4 hour. That was that position right there, as we talked about. Okay, so we never came up and hit that. I'll just scale in. Looks the exact same as what I had. Lower low, lower high, lower low, equal highs. I was hoping we'd run that into that supply and fall into our overall objective. We just never got the pullback. We ended up continuing to trickle. Would have been a great trade, to be quite honest, but it didn't hit. All right, continuing. This is AUD-NZD. AUD-NZD is just an update of the current trade. So obviously we can see here it did not hit. That was when we talked about at the beginning of the video. But then I think the point of the post was this particular trade that we had right in here, the re-entry. Excuse me, this was not a re-entry. This was the original position. I think the re-entry was right in there with this imbalance and the overall buy to sell that we never pulled back up into. That was the one that didn't hit. But this one here ended up hitting overall take profit. That was from November. AUD Chef, just as discussed. We talked about that earlier. Swiss franc, Japanese yen. This one, I think this one happened to be a loser as well. Yep, right in here. So this is what we were talking about. We had, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This was just a lower time frame area of supply. So really that area there. And then we came in and pulled back. And we were looking for a lower low. We had the reaction, didn't move stop to break even or take partials because there wasn't anything to tell us that. But ended up rallying back to the upside. So we did lose 1% there, and we should have seen here on a higher time frame, we did come down into a higher time frame level. I marked off the swing points, and that swing point here that ended up breaking the counter trend structure to the upside, having the overall retracement before another lower low, we came into this area of demand in here that swept that previous low. So you guys can understand that, right? We swept the previous low, we came into demand. So now it's a little bit scary to see that this would maybe continue like that, right? Because we came into a higher time frame level, now we probably would have a overall pullback like we did, and then a lower low. That's kind of how the markets work. And when you get used to them and you start to see this intuitively, it just kind of makes sense like that. But we ended up taking this trade because we thought, it would have been a perfect trade, and it was at the time, but it ended up rallying back to the upside and hitting our stop loss there. So negative 1%. This one was just, that was the same thing. Euro New Zealand dollar, that was, I don't remember that one. Euro New Zealand dollar, I think that was, what was that one? Let me go check it out. I don't even remember. There's just so many of them. Euro New Zealand dollar, that was right in here, was it? Oh, I don't remember. Maybe I'll get into it again. Oh, I don't remember. That one was a while ago. Sorry, guys. I don't remember. Euro GBP. Okay, we'll try to remember this one. I think I remember this one. This was on the December 5th. It was a level of supply. Okay, I do remember this one. If I'm not mistaken. It was, this one right in here. So go to the 30-minute time frame. And we can see here that was that level of interest that we were talking about. So stops in this case were right above the high. Now I probably would have put them above this high, just to give it a little more wiggle room. I did not send this one out. This one was Aiden who sent that out. So he had a larger risk to reward than I did. But we have to go based upon what was sent in the chat. So we can see here the first take profit that should have been placed since we were in a bullish trend, higher high, higher low. And then we can see the counter trend in here. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, failed to make a lower low, higher high. That would have been that flip from supply to demand right in here. So that's what we should have placed our first take profit. Okay, so had an entry 1 to 4 when we got back down into here. So the first position, excuse me, there was just one position there. I'm trying to look at my notes. I think I'm looking at another one. 3 TPs. So we had one here. We had one at the previous low, the swing point, because this is a lower low. This is an overall lower high. So that should have been 1. And then our overall at 8.5. So divide that by 3. And we would have made on that one 1.3%. Still not bad when you consider it in the long scheme of things. It adds up. All right, so that was Euro NZD there. Let's continue. Or that was Euro GBP, excuse me. Euro GBP sitting a little bit of profit. That was just an update from the trade that we talked about earlier. Euro NZD continuations. Okay, I think that's what I was looking for. Maybe that was it. Yeah, maybe that's what I was talking about right in here. 66255. Let's go look at that. Euro NZD. I just want to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate information. It's kind of hard to remember. 66285. Oh yeah, that was this position here. Okay, that was correct. All right, perfect. So let me just scroll back down because I think it was discussed here again. Yep, right there. Those are the risk to rewards. So we had one there and one there. Yep, that was the trade. Okay, cool. I have my bearings now. All right, going back. So we entered off just continuations, right? Lower lows, lower highs, continuations. You can see overall lower low, lower high. This is a trade that was saved for later. We'll talk about that later. But on a lower time frame, we had lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, pulling back into imbalance in an area of supply. 0.5% risk here at the imbalance, 0.5% risk here at the overall buy to sell. So we came into both of them actually. And our first take profit was down in here. And then our second one was at 1.63. So in this case, we had 2 TPs for both of them. The first position half risk, second position half risk as well because we have 2 positions. So this one hit at, let me see, 0.85%. So 3.38 divided by 2 because that's half risk, or just multiplied by 0.5, whatever you want to do. And then divided by 3 because you have, or excuse me, 2 because you had 2 TPs. Ended up coming out to 0.85% return for this trade. And the second position here came out to 0.36%, which totaled 1.21%. In overall, because we can see we came down into that level, the previous swing point, and then we ended up rallying back to the upside. All right, so next one, Euro USD. So we can see here we're looking at lower time frame continuation, swing point high, swing low, swing high, swing low, swing high, swing low, into an area of demand looking for a higher high. So let's check it out. Euro USD. I know it's jumbled up. I need to clear all my charts. I've been planning on doing that. I just wanted to make sure I had everything marked up for this video here so you guys can see everything. So that was the area we were looking for right in there. Stops were below the swing point low. We came into it, accumulated, broke structure, and that's when we knew we were going to continue. So first take profit was this high here. Second take profit was our 1.07 level, and third take profit was up into there. Actually, I think the third take profit was 1.0950. So we had 3 take profits there on that level. This was, let's see, if I go all the way over, it was right here. This is the risk to reward associated with that particular position. So we hit at, let's see, the first one and then the second one. So I think I have in my notes overall Euro USD plus 2%. Yeah, 2% floating right now because we hit 1, we hit 2, and now we're coming back down, but we haven't hit break even yet. We're break even on this trade. See, we entered here, so if we go all the way over, that's the risk to reward. Price is up in here, we're just holding break even. If we go long, phenomenal, great, we're making money. If we don't, then it would just be a 2% gain. Not too bad. Okay, going back to we have here, this is what, and exactly that's why I said right here, this is why we hedge, winky face, right? Because who knows, we could continue with the lower time frame, higher highs and higher lows, but we could also continue with the higher time frame, lower lows, lower highs, and then make an overall lower low, because I showed you that we were overall bearish on USD CAD at the time, but we continue to follow lower time frame structure. So that's why we hedge. Let's see, continuing here, AUD CAD, just showing you additional updates on this trade that we talked about a couple times. Euro Chef slowly making its way to the upside here. We had that was talked about in November. AUD Chef, this one was additional position. So remember our first position that we talked about was right in here at that area of supply, and then we made a low, we pulled back, generated another area of supply, and then made a lower low again. So pulling back into that level is an additional position that we were looking for. And we can see clearly here that we did get into very significant profit on this trade. Right in here, area of entry, came up into it in this region of price, stops above the previous swing point high. We can see we never hit that. We ended up rallying to the downside. And I think I have in my notes here, floating 2.7% return on this trade. USD CAD, this is just updates. Breakdown. What is this one? British pound, US dollar. So this was that trade that we talked about earlier. Let's see. Yep, we had the one in here that lost, and then the two, and then that ended up winning. Let me just quickly show you again if you guys forgot. That was this trade that occurred right in here. Right to the upside, hitting first and second take profit, just missing the third. All right, so we already talked about that one. And then GBP Chef doing well in profits. That was just an update on the trade we already talked about in G Chef. Euro USD reacting off the level. Update there. Euro NZD reacting off its level. Update there. Another one discussed this morning. So this was discussed on a live session we had. So we can see we swept liquidity. We're in an uptrend, obviously. We're making higher highs and higher lows. Descending liquidity, we swept sell to buy, higher high. Created an area of demand, came back down, formed more liquidity, and then created this huge sell to buy into that level. So we mitigated that level. We swept equal lows, and then we broke the counter trend structure. We can see lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high. We pulled back into that area of sell to buy mitigation, and then we went long. So that's what we're looking for. Stops where? Above the previous swing point. Have to do it. At least take profit one, right? You can have multiple take profits. So let's get into Euro Chef, and we can see on a lower time frame that's exactly what occurred, and we just didn't get any follow through. I mean, Euro Chef is a very choppy pair. We can see that was the descending liquidity. This was the area of demand. We came into that. That was the sell to buy. First take profit was right in there. We had, I believe, on this trade 3 TPs. So 1.09 divided by 3 is 0.36% that we did make. And after the first take profit has been hit, stops are moved to break even. So we never lost anything on this trade. All right, let's continue. GBP Chef playing out. So this was just an update at the time that this was in profit. We know that when we were talking about Chef JPY before, price ended up going long. First take profit had to just probably go right in here. I can't annotate. I'm not on my screen. Because we can see here lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. We failed to make a lower low here, and we made a higher high. So in considering that, let's just say this was going to turn bullish, where would we need to be placing our take profits? Right in here. Obviously, we stopped probably like right there and went long, but that was the only appropriate level. And that's why I say, guys, you're not always going to hit your take profit perfectly every time. But when you do it like this, you're giving yourself an objective, reasoning behind what you're doing, and it makes it kind of, systematic or step by step in a way. Not everything's going to work out, but when you make it like this objective and systematic and this easy, you're going to tend to see more wins than losses, and you're going to tend to see more money being made as a result of your appropriate take profit placement, if that makes sense. So we got to get in good habits. We can't expect to be 100%, but we can, overall long term be profitable for sure. GBP Swiss franc. So this was an additional position, because remember we talked about this position here that was in profit, and then we broke the counter trend, creating a little area of demand, and we wanted to pull back and continue and have additional positions. So GBP Swiss franc, that was right, and that was what I was talking about. Remember I said that we would get back to this one. Here it is. So had our first initial level right in here, right? We made a high, we came back down, came into this level of demand again. Stops were below this low, because this is a low that created this high, right? So stops had to go below there. So we came back down, kind of accumulated, and then our first take profit was above the previous swing point, because this was the overall pullback. We wanted a higher high, So that was our level. So we came into that level, and in this case, we had, I think, 2 take profits here. That's what I have written down. So 1.55 divided by 2, right, is 0.77%. Stopped, moved to break even, and then it actually came back down. We never got any follow through on this pair. Kind of just chopped around for a while, made a move, and then pushed back to the downside. All right, continuing here. Let's see, 80 CAD. So this one finally hit overall take profit. This was from November. We can see that this wick to the upside never came into it. We didn't quite hit our take profit, but we finally did right up in here. So that's why I was giving that update. Interested in buying Euro AUD. So from these 2 levels, looking to buy Euro AUD, we can see higher time frame we accumulated. This is where we swept equal lows, sell to buy, and that's where we made the higher high. So that's where we broke out of the accumulation because we were kind of making lower lows and lower highs, and we finally made a higher high. So we were looking at these areas of demand here and here. This was more of an imbalance, kind of where we swept liquidity, sell to buy, right? So these 2 levels to go long. Guys, I apologize. I know I'm going very fast. This is not how I teach. I teach very thoroughly in my education. I teach, very systematically, and I explain the concepts very well. However, that's not the purpose of this video here. So if you're getting confused, feel free to go back and watch my YouTube videos, or, be involved in my course material that goes over this step by step in a more thorough, descriptive way. But this is not meant to be, proper education. This is just meant to be transparency. I'm trying to show you all the trades taken. So you can kind of see and get a feel for how we look at the charts and what kind of outcomes and return that you could see if you are part of our group. So 2 areas there. Let's see, that was what? I have it in my notes. Euro AUD. There we go. That was it there. So looking to buy from those levels. We can see here we had 1, we had 2, half and half risk here, half risk here, and we can see that this one hit at the full take profit, 1.58. So that was this trade right in here, 2.82. So we had half risk because we had half risk here, and then obviously this one never hit. So 1.41% return on that position. All right, next one. Euro AUD, that was the same trade, just a higher time frame view. That's why we took profit at 1.58, because of the last supply zone that swapped liquidity that made the lower low, right? Just simple structure. Let's see here, that was Euro NZD, just giving an update there. Euro USD, this one never hit. I'll show you what it looked like. So this was this trade here. This was this trade here. We can see that, and you can't really see it because we're on the 1 hour time frame, but if you scale into a lower time frame, this is clear accumulation within our overall level, because remember, we bought it here originally. We bought it here, put our stops below the low. Obviously, we did not hit our stop loss. We accumulated lower time frame, and we expanded to the upside, breaking the counter trend structure. In the process, we created the sell to buy, reprice, continue. So that doji candle was that repricing demand level. That's stuff that we all teach in our education. So didn't quite get the fill. Came back down a third time, didn't quite get it, so we did not hit that trade. Let's see, what is this one? GBP Swiss franc. Yeah, okay, that was just an update from our additional position. Remember, our original position was here, and then we created that demand higher high, so we wanted to pull back. That was that additional position. That was just an update there. AUD Swiss franc, that was an update when we first got into our original level, and we can see these levels are so precise, guys. If we understand proper supply and demand, and we understand institutional order flow and all that stuff, it's really not that difficult to understand. It just takes a little time to practice. But like anything that you learn, it's just going to take time, right? It just takes experience, just takes time to practice, but it takes the right guidance to show you exactly how you're supposed to go about practicing so that you can get it really easily and make a lot of money in doing so. And really what I'm trying to say is these areas, when you understand them, they're so precise. I mean, you can see all the time we're getting these wick entries here, here. Where's our last one? Oh, that didn't hit, obviously. Secondary level, pretty much a wick entry there. I mean, when you understand the proper way of trading, you're going to get these type of entries. All right. Next is Euro USD. So we had 2 levels. Remember, that one didn't hit. But we had this one here. We had a sell to buy, area of supply to go long from that level. That was this level right there, that sell to buy. Stops were below the low. The reason why I didn't place it below here is because of risk to reward purposes. The risk to reward wasn't big enough. So I was willing to take the risk of placing the stop here, and I wouldn't say lucky. It was a little more risky than placing it here, because technically this could have been just one push. We could have had an overall pullback and then a continuation, but we actually maintained lower time frame structure, which was a part of the trade, so that actually worked out very well. So currently, I think, what did I say here? First position, second position did not hit. So yeah, second position right here, as we talked about, didn't hit, but the first position we did. And this one was on half risk at 3 take profits, I believe. So that was this one right in here. You can see that line if we extend it all the way over. This is the risk to reward. And where current price is at now, we hit first take profit there, second take profit there, and where current price is floating, currently floating 1.2% after everything's said and done. So even if we come back down and hit break even, we still make 1.2%. All right, next trade right in here, EJ. All right, so with EJ, we're looking for continuations. We came into a higher time frame level of supply. We pushed down and we pulled back into an original level, and I talked about this level here, but I didn't give it out, so I'm not going to count it. So I'm only going to talk about this one right in there. So EJ. Okay, right in here. It was right here because we were seeing lower lows, lower highs. Area of supply met. Imbalance filled. Boom. Imbalance filled there. Boom. We're just continuing with structure. So lower low, wanting to pull back. Imbalance filled there on a lower time frame. We had a lower time frame one right in here, which is that position that I'm going to talk about here in a second. So we wanted a continuation down. We ended up making a move back to the upside. However, it's just following simple rules, guys. You get the entry, right? The probability of you at least hitting TP1 is extremely high just because of the principles of the setup and the principles of the concepts being presented. But if you understand take profit placement, you're golden. You're going to be long-term profitable. It's almost guaranteed. So we got in here, and when we hit our first take profit, which was right there at the prior low, second take profit was obviously right here. This is the failure to generate a lower low, and that's where we broke counter trend structure to the upside. So that flip from supply to demand. That was our second, and then our third was down at 143.8. So 3 take profits on that level, and so 1.28 divided by 3 is 0.4, just about. All right, so we made 0.4% on that trade, and we'll continue. Chef JPY, that was just an update of the trade that we talked about that ended up losing. So this was AUD Chef. So this was AUD Chef one. This one was a perfect trade, and it just didn't work out. It just goes to show, guys, that no matter how good a setup looks, you always have to use good risk management because it could still not work out, right? And this is what I mean by this. So overall, our win rate is very phenomenal, like really high, very phenomenal. However, you still get these trades that are so perfect that they still lose, right? We came up into our original level. That was a beautiful trade, beautiful wick entry. Now let's look at the counter trend opportunity. So we have high, low, failed to make a higher high, lower low, breaking structure, creating the supply level on a lower time frame, creating the institutional liquidity run, huge buy to sell there. That's where we failed to generate a higher high with this move, and we made the lower low. So that was the level in which we took a trade from, was in a little bit of profit, didn't quite get down to our first take profit, but ended up rallying, hitting stop loss, so minus 1% on that trade. Guys, if I see this again, I'm taking it all day, every day. It's a beautiful setup. The rules are there. The confluences are there. Everything makes sense. Just this time, it just didn't work out. That's why we always have to use good risk management in our setups. Very key. Okay, continuing. AUD USD, very self-explanatory. Higher highs, higher lows, equal lows in here. Swept, sell to buy. Failed to make a lower low, higher high. Shift in structure. We can see we broke the counter trend, and now we're moving higher into our overall objective. So that's AUD USD. And that's exactly what happened right in here. This was that level, right? Higher high, low, high, low, high, low. Sweeping equal lows in here with this sell to buy. And we can see that the structure was broken here. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. I guess you can kind of say higher high, but the more important thing was we failed to make a lower low and we made a higher high in the sequence. So the counter trend in that sense was broken, and now we should be looking for an expansion because expansion, pullback, expansion into our objective. And look at where we stopped before we went all the way short. Was right in here. This is why it's so important to understand take profits as well. Trade management. So we came into that level, had a beautiful trade. 2.71%. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Next one. UJ, already talked about UJ. This one didn't hit. Remember, it just didn't hit. Oh, nothing much to say about it. I'll just go back and show you real quick. Right in there. Just didn't hit, right? Didn't quite come up into it. Okay, continuing. Euro AUD. So with Euro AUD, we I think we had, let's see, Euro AUD. This was, yep, right in here, lower time. This is the lower time frame trade. This is a counter trend opportunity. So with this one, we can see that we had a huge liquidity run, buy to sell, kind of chopping, failing to make a higher high, right? Because we're looking for higher highs, higher lows in this sequence, right? We failed to make a higher high, and we made a lower low, breaking structure. That doesn't mean we're just going to go short. That just means that we could be in for a more higher time frame pullback before continuing, because we are still bullish, right? We broke that previous swing point. We made that higher high. So what do we expect? A higher low. So that's why we broke structure lower time frame. Doesn't mean we're bearish. This means we're getting a deeper pullback for another higher high, which is exactly what happened here, right? That's why we bought it right there. But we ended up selling it short term in here with 2 take profits, I think. Yes, 2 take profits. One was right in here, and then one was down here. The 2 levels. So 2.15, 2 take profits divided by 2, 1.1. I think, yeah, 1.1, 1.07, something like that. Okay, AUD NZD reacting off of our levels. So we talked about that one, discussed this week. So I don't remember where, probably on a live session somewhere. Talked about AUD NZD. So let's go look at that really quick. That was right in here. So we can see that we swept liquidity, lower low, lower high, lower low, just swept liquidity by a hair and then made a lower low. So in the process of doing so, we created a high, a low, a high, a low. We failed to make a higher high, lower low. So this was the flip from demand to supply. That's exactly why we reacted from where we did. Precise entries. Understanding the market, you understand how to make money. That's kind of what I say. I like to say that. So we had our entry there. Where was our first take profit? Right at the previous low. Came into it to the T. So I will show you another piece of analysis like this as we go. But my main point here is when we have a news event and something like this occurs, I got out. I hit my take profit to the T. This could have happened in a matter of a minute. So if you guys were taking profit manually, or if you guys take profit manually within your everyday trading, this could be an issue for you. Because if you're taking profit manually and price comes back down, should have hit your first take profit, but then rallies right back up, creating that wick. Now you have FOMO, and now you're taking partials right here when you should have taken them right here. That's why it's always good when you have multiple positions. Let's say you have 3 take profits. If you have your position, split your position up in 3s. Right? 1/3% risk, 1/3% risk, and 1/3% risk. Each of those have the same entry and the same stop loss, but each of them are set at the different take profits. That's why you don't have to worry about not hitting your take profits or taking profit manually, because even if you're sleeping or working out or doing something else, if you can't see the charts, it'll automatically take you out of the trade like it did for me. Right? That was a beautiful trade. AUD NZD, 2 take profits. One was right in there. One was at our overall level of 1.050. So I think I ended up with 1.23% on that trade. That's what I have written down. Okay, next one. Additional entry and profit. We talked about that one. That was discussed with Euro USD. AUD USD got the wick entry. Beautiful precision. AJ finally seeing some volatility. So that's just an update. We ended up coming back down overall and losing that position. I talked about that earlier. 0.58 incoming. That was the one that we were in profit on. But I think it ended up rallying. Talked about that earlier. Euro AUD playing out. So from the buys in here, playing out very well. Just giving an update there. US dollar Japanese yen. I don't know how many times this was sent out. Probably like 2 or 3 times. But again, this one just didn't hit. Remember, we talked about that a few times. This was USD Swiss franc. Same sort of deal with USD Swiss franc. That was a 4-hour time frame. That doji candle, that area of supply. I'll quickly show you. 4-hour is right here. See, we never hit that. Created relatively equal highs, never rallied back up to hit that level. Ended up just continuing to fall. All right, we'll continue. US dollar, Canadian dollar. This one was, yeah, that one was already discussed earlier, I believe. Remember we talked about how, oops, I'll go to the 4 hour. Talked about how we're looking at obviously hedging from down here. I'll talk about the hedge buy from in here as well later when we get to it. We're looking for hedge shorts from here as well. I think that was just pretty much the same piece of analysis I had. This is Australian dollar, AUD, yeah, AUD USD. Looking for continuation short before the buy. So we're looking to buy from 6.5 essentially, and obviously we're far from it. That was just a higher time frame piece of analysis. Obviously we haven't hit that level yet. This is 6.5, so obviously this didn't hit yet. Okay, continuing. Same thing with GBP USD. We finally did hit that today, right? I think remember we were sitting around break even on this one, or a little bit of profit. Yeah, we can see we're in a little bit of profit right now. So just around break even, I'll just say, for transparent purposes. Euro US dollar, same sort of deal. At that sell to buy level, we can see just the correlation amongst these pairs. GBP USD had that huge sell to buy, and so did Euro USD here with this sell to buy. And we can see that obviously we have not come down into that level yet, these three levels. All right, continuing. GBP AUD. So this was a really great trade. This one ended up losing, unfortunately, but this was a very phenomenal trade to say the least. And it was right in here. So let me go to, I think the 30-minute looks clean. So we can see here that we're creating higher highs, higher lows. Higher high, higher low, higher high. Overall pullback, higher low. We swept the lows here. We swept equal lows here. This was an area of supply demand on a lower time frame. We had a low here that we swept, sell to buy. Pulled back into that level, came into that level very nicely. Let's look at the counter trend. Low, high, low, high, low. High came into supply there, failed to make a lower low in this sequence, and we stopped and made a higher high, so that will turn into demand. Had an initial reaction, but never came up and hit our first take profit and ended up rolling over to the downside. So unfortunately did lose 1% on that trade there. This is just an update on Euro NZD. Finally hit take profit 1. Yep, partial secured, stops break even. That's exactly what I said. Euro GBP playing out nicely from the live session that we already discussed. Oh no, this was a new one. So this one was a lower time frame trade. Euro GBP, because I remember taking profit on this one. This one was really good. Right in here. It was right here. So when we came up into our higher time frame level. Remember we talked about this level from here, right? We had the lower low, the lower high. This was from November 28th. Created another area of supply, lower low, pull back into that level. So we're still in this trade at this current time in here. We haven't rallied yet. But lower time frame, we can see that we were distributing in price. Very discrete higher highs, higher lows. We stopped, we failed to make a higher high, and we made the lower low. So a pullback into the lower time frame level of supply was really good. Had that wick entry and ended up coming all the way down, hitting our first take profit at the previous low. Remember, I keep saying this, guys. The previous low or the previous high could be your first take profit. So had a position here, 2.02%. We had 3 take profits on this one. One was right here at the first previous low. The overall low was our second one. And then the second take profit was this overall low. And then our overall take profit was 0.58 or 85, excuse me. So 2.02 divided by 3 is 0.66%. All right, then we had another one here, I believe. I think that's coming up next, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, this one right here. So that's one we just talked about. And then we had an additional one right in here. So again, it's the same concepts, guys. So I'll do a little bit of a real quick recap on how the markets can be fractal. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Where do we pull back to make another lower low? Into supply. That's exactly why we sold it right there, right? So we do the same thing on a lower time frame. Do the exact same thing. Scale into the 30-minute. Do the exact same thing. High, low, high, low, high, low. Failed to make a higher high, lower low. Where do we pull back to make another lower low? Into supply, right there. That's exactly what we came into, and we shorted off. I'll go even lower time frame. I'll go like 10-minute and scale into it. Same thing applies with this pullback. This is the pullback that came into this supply. This is the pullback that came into this supply, right? You can just see the fractality of the markets, guys, right? So 10-minute time frame, high, low, failed to make a higher high. This was that last buying volume to sell off. That's where we broke the structure. So that's the level of supply we look to come into. Boom, had that entry. First take profit was right down there. Second was at our secondary level, and then third was at our overall level down there, right? So we split it up. Split up the positions. First take profit, hit it to the T. 1.81 divided by 3 was 0.6%. And we keep chugging along. GBP AUD, this was just an update before we ended up rolling over. GBP Chef, that was just an update when we were going long. Already discussed these trades. AUD USD, this was the one we talked about in here. Ended up hitting overall take profit. Very phenomenal trade. Partials and break even on these trades here. Remember? The sell to buy that occurred. We had all these lower time frame opportunities right in here. We had this one that didn't hit. We already talked about that. And we had this one in here that did hit. When we came up into our take profit levels, that's where we take profit. Take partials, right? Partials taken and stops, move to break even. And sometimes I'm generous enough to actually tell you when to do it. Not all the time I do it. On some of these I do. Like on this one, GBP Chef took the high. I'm taking partials, moving stop to break even on these trades. But guys, you can just see the consistency behind them. Yes, we will lose trades. Everyone loses trades. But if you follow all of them and understand them, not only will you learn, but you'll also be able to earn as you learn. And that's the most important thing. You know, making money alongside us while you're learning the concepts, it's really just the best of both worlds, because eventually you're going to get it for yourself and you're not even going to need us anymore, which is exactly what we do for our members. So continuing, GBP Chef, just an update. Overall TP is approaching. British pound, US dollar. That was a trade we talked about earlier on GU. NZD Swiss franc stops, moved to break even from our level on a lower time frame. Talked about that. That was the entry right there. Came up and hit our first take profit. Then we ended up falling, I think. But yeah, that's what it says. I am taking partials, moving stop to break even. This is where I was getting at. This is why setting multiple TPs is such a blessing. For those taking partials manually, you would now be doing so at a much worse price. Plan the trade, trade the plan. Stops are at break even with partials taken. Remember this AUD NZD trade we got in here? First take profit was right there. News came out, pushed into our first take profit, and rallied right back. People who were taking profit manually are now taking profit up here instead of down in here. I don't know about you, but between the price of this and this, it's a pretty significant price difference. It's probably a really big difference in dollar value or whatever the currency you're trading, right? So if you're taking profit up here, you're not going to be making as much money as if you did it down there. That's why it's really important you take the time to split up your positions, understand where take profits go, because take profits and stop losses, guys, are just as important as entries in all reality. Okay. This one I did not take. This would have been a phenomenal trade. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. We pulled back into the previous swing point. In the process, sweeping, descending liquidity. 1, 2, 3 touches of this bullcrap trend line that retail traders try to trade. Starts to sell off. Nope, right back to the upside. Sweep your stops as it should. Comes back down into demand. Counter trend, we can see high, low, low into demand, failed to make a higher high, lower low. That turns from demand to supply. That would have been a beautiful trade. I just did not see it in time. So it's one of those things, happen sometimes. Euro or Australian dollar, US dollar had that update again. Euro NZD, remember we talked about these two trades there and really good profit at that time. CAD Chef, this was just an update I was looking for, because remember we talked about this just a second ago. We had the beautiful entry from that level that I just didn't take because I didn't see it in time. I said we could get back in at these levels, lower time frame breaks of structure, supply level, lower time frame supply in there, but then I ended up saying I'm staying away from CAD Chef now just because of the very strong reaction we had after the news event. So let me show you what I mean. So when we had this level in here, this was the area right in there. When we had the news event come out, right, the news event was used as the excuse, to move price in the overall direction it was always meant to go anyways. So when we mitigated price, or we mitigated this level of supply, the only thing that it could do is go short. That's exactly why news was used as the excuse to move it lower. News is not fake. Like, it's not like, it is pre-planned. It's not random. So that's why I said, we're trying to pull back into these levels. But because of the fact that this was such a strong move, followed by an immediate push right back to the upside very strongly, I thought this has the potential of being a sell to buy. So I didn't take these trades, unfortunately. Would have been phenomenal return, but I just didn't take them. So I can't count it towards the wins. Continuing to go here. Yeah, that was it. If you took it, congrats. That's what I said. I just didn't take it. Euro USD 1.06876. This is when we were sweeping equal highs. Right in there. Euro US dollar. Right in here. These were the equal highs. We were sweeping them. We just missed it. We rallied down. We came right back up into it. 1.06876. Right there. That level. Actually, we did hit it. Right there. And then we ended up hitting our overall TP on the buys. And then we look for shorts. And guess what? We're in profit on the shorts from this level. Right. This is the risk to reward. Right there. So we're currently floating on this trade about 1%. AUD Chef stops break even, made its move, took out the previous low. What did I tell you? Stops moves to break even, partials taken. Beautiful. AUD CAD, I didn't take a loss on this one. Higher high, higher low, area of supply. We swept equal lows, lower time frame, made a higher high, equal lows here again. I thought we were going to sweep them and go long into our objective, but we ended up pushing right down through. I'll just quickly show you. Where is it? I can't find it. There it is. I'm losing my mind. There we go. So when we bought it from this position here, remember we bought it from, this was from November, so obviously we didn't talk about that. Talked about that in the last video, but we talked about this one, the first trade that we talked about of the video today. First take profit was here, second take profit was here. That's probably why we came into it and then fell from there. So that probably wasn't the smartest trade to take because we actually did come into an objective level. I just wanted a little bit of a higher objective level, but we ended up rolling over 1% loss. Oh well, we move on. Euro USD, perfect entry from that level he talked about. USD CAD, now this is the re-entry. So continuing with the lower time frame, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We haven't hit the objective yet. Descending liquidity. So I look to buy it from this level with the overall last selling volume before the upside move. So imbalance move in here, and then our lower time frame demand. So two levels, half risk, half risk. Let's take a look at where we are. As of right now, we are currently floating, I think it was floating 0.5%. So half risk. So I guess we were up 1% at the time. I think we were up like 1%, like somewhere in here. Prices now right there. So pretty much almost the same. But yeah, 1% and then divided by 2 because we had half risk, half and half. So up 0.5% on this trade right now. All right, next one. We're almost done, guys. Almost done. Euro AUD approaching overall take profit. Phenomenal. This is, yeah, that's why we took partials, move stop to break even, and we didn't lose this trade. That's why it's so important to do so, guys, and you wouldn't have to have dealt with these losses, right? Continuing here, stops move to break even on both of these positions. That's what we said right there. Potential moves on GBP Swiss franc. So GBP Swiss franc, we did lose on this position, I believe. Let's see this one right in here. Yep. So we had a lower time frame. Where was it? We had 3 positions. So one in here, we just fell through on. The second one was right in here. Overall demand. We came into, had a reaction, but couldn't move stop to break even yet or take any partials, and it fell to the downside. So we can see that we had 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3. We're coming into our third one now, our last point of return, so we lost 0.33 plus 0.33. We haven't hit this one yet, so we lost 0.66% on that trade. Euro AUD hit overall take profit. Beautiful. Euro NZD, we're looking to sell from this area of supply. Remember, we talked about that earlier. We talked about shorts from in here, right? And that's where we got in the double position. One from the imbalance, one from the start of the supply. We had 2 of them. That's exactly what we just talked about, right? We came into the first take profit, sold into it, and then it moved back up. So we moved stop to break even and take partials. That's why we didn't lose on the sell here. But I also said earlier that we were looking for other supply levels to be met as well. So we came up into that level, and now we're actually looking to hedge buys from this demand and our sell to buy where we swept equal lows. So hedging the positions there. So Euro NZD, right in here, had a beautiful reaction from it, came into our buy level. So we moved stop to break even on the sells, price came up, hit break even on the sells, and now we're in profit, huge profit on the longs from that level. 0.5% risk there. I think we're currently sitting at 1.9%. That's what I have in my notes here. 1.9%. So I guess 3.8% we're up on this trade, but since it's half risk and we didn't come into our secondary position, you have to divide it by 2, so we're up 1.9%. Still really good. All right, next one right in here, CAD Swiss franc, just looking for continuations, just another continuation trade off supply. Let's see, let's go to it. All right, so that was this trade right in here. It was a lower time frame. Go to the 15-minute actually. Lower time frame area of supply in here. We had an immediate reaction, fell, kind of just chopped around, came back up into our secondary position. You had a wick entry, fell again, kind of just chopping around between this position and this position in here. This one's in profit. This one's sitting in a little bit of drawdown, so we're kind of floating around break even at the moment. There's really not much to go over. We're just kind of ranging at the moment. All right. Next one, AUD Swiss franc. So AUD Swiss franc did not hit. This was just an additional position off of the other two that we already had. So AUD Swiss franc. Remember, we had these two positions here. We're still in these positions, and we're looking to add to them from our level of supply. We have a high, we have a low, we have a high, we have a low. We failed to make a higher high, lower low. Turns into supply, looking for the overall pullback at some point to go short. That's what we're looking for. And obviously that did not hit yet. Euro USD from the beginning of December hitting a 1 to 6. That was this trade right in here. We finally hit that. That was a part of December, so I can count that. That's 6%. Yeah, beginning of December, hit overall 1 to 6. Beautiful trade there. NZD Chef, very nice reaction. That was the one that we ended up rolling over, and we talked about that earlier. This one is GBP USD, so this one did not hit yet. GU here, that was that trade there. We broke counter trend structure. We're in buys. We're also hedging with shorts if we pull back. So that would be a really great trade. So we just haven't hit that yet. This is AUD USD. So when we came up into our overall objective, remember, so I'll go to the chart here. And this is exactly why we were looking to take profit at that level. We didn't want to sell it because we can't just immediately turn around and sell it. Just because it's your objective doesn't mean you should just turn around and then short it from that position. That just means it's a good idea to get out of your buys, right? So we have to see. Price could have easily just kept going, but at least we got out at the appropriate level. Ended up falling over, breaking structure, obviously. So now we're in from a lower time frame area in here, and then we wanted price to pull back, fill up some more imbalance, come up into this supply level. So 0.5% risk on each of these here. So AUD USD is currently floating at this current trade 2.4%, but since it was half risk, we're at 1.2%. That was discussed right there. Boom and boom. Next one here is NZD USD wanting a pullback into a level of supply for shorts. Let's see what happened on that one, and that was right in here. Same exact level, supply, wick entry, rolled over, took profit at where we bought it. Remember we were looking for longs here, guys? Or actually, let me go to the 1 hour, probably better for that. Remember, the higher high, the higher low, higher high. We're looking for longs from these levels. So we shorted it into where we're longing it to go long. So this was a beautiful 1 to 2.16 risk reward. So we made 2.16% on that trade. All right, continuing here, US dollar Swiss franc, looking to buy it from a level of demand up into this level of supply in here, filling up all this imbalance. So USD Swiss franc on a lower time frame. I'll just squeeze down to a 15-minute. So we'll talk about this short that we had in here. It's actually going really well, but the counter trend buys, we bought it from here. We had not equals, but just ascending liquidity. Lower low, lower high, lower low, ascending liquidity. We swept the liquidity, consolidated lower time frame, which created that sell candle, higher high. So higher low, mitigation, higher high, up into that level. Boom, 3.14% hit on that particular trade. So very great trade into our sell position that was right in there. It's a beautiful trade there. Euro GBP wanted to buy from, what was that, 6659, something like that. So let's check it out. I don't think it hit. That was it. Just Euro GBP kept mooning. Yeah, that was from this position here. That's why I had it marked up 6659, 57, something like that in there. Did not pull back, quite frankly. GBP CAD. So we distributed. We failed to make a higher high in this bullish sequence. We can see higher high, higher low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Failed to make a higher high, lower low. Pulling back into now supply to short off. That's distribution for you all day long. So let's go check it out. GBP CAD. And that's exactly what happened. This was the distribution. Failed to make a higher high, lower low. Precise entry right there. 1.6693. We are currently floating at this current time 2.6%. Beautiful trade. Just as discussed, right in there. USD Chef, USD CAD. That was just an update in profit on our buy positions, looking for shorts. Already talked about that. GBP Swiss franc lost on the initial buys here, in profit on the secondary position here. Obviously, this did roll back over, so we're looking for that third one. So we already talked about that one. 80 JPY, we talked about, that loss that we had from AJ from a while ago. NZD Swiss franc played out very well. This one did roll over, but where do we take profit, guys? Just looking at this, pause the video. Where do we take our profit? And this is going to be a little different than what you might think. Yes, you could take profit up here. That is a good area to take profit, but where's a better area for the time being? Probably the previous area of supply, right? Because you can count this as a lower low, pull back lower high, lower low. This could be a lower high for a lower low. And that's exactly what actually happened. I wasn't expecting it. I was definitely expecting us to react. I know it's blurry. I'm just zoomed out here, guys. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. I'm looking for a higher high. That's just what I was looking for. But I had to assume, even though we are overall bullish, that what if price goes against me? Where would it go against me? Could go against me at this level of supply, or could go against me at the previous swing point. And that's exactly what happened. Put my stop loss to break even once we came up into that level, took some partials, and we ended up rolling over. And I guess what? I didn't lose the trade because I got out at the right time. So with those two positions, NZD, Swiss franc. Oh, I think I don't have that written down. Must have missed it. All right, well, I guess I won't talk about that then. I mean, we ended up making profit, but I guess it won't be a part of the total. I guess I didn't write it down. But anyways, really good trade. All right, AED Swiss franc. That was, so overall, taking partials, move stop to break even because we took out the overall low. That was our secondary take profit level. Euro NZD starting to sell off from our level. Obviously, we're looking for shorts from our hedge positions. Or excuse me, buys from our hedge positions. Sorry. CAD Chef and a little bit of profit. I think that was just an update. Euro Chef is moving very nicely. We're currently floating in this position about 1.5%. Let me go to Euro Swiss franc. Euro Swiss franc is just disgusting. It just chops around. But we're currently still holding this position from a while ago. I'm currently floating 1.5%. Yeah, there was a lot here. So Euro USD, we already talked about a lot of these. We talked about the ones down in here. So those were taken care of. We didn't hit that one. This one in here, remember, did not hit. But this one here, remember, this overall area of demand did. And we were up a couple of percent there. And then this area right in there, that candle sell to buy, we're currently up right now. Then we have other two areas right in here, these two positions, because we currently have a higher high, higher low, higher high. This is just the previous demand zone, and also this imbalance fill. So I don't think we talked about that one. But anyways, we got into those positions here. And we're kind of just floating around break even right now. So we're still selling, but we're buying as well, just in case we end up continuing with the overall structure. But if we sell off, then oh well, we got in from a very pristine level of, high area of supply. So higher time frame level. So we can also be hedging buys and sells when appropriate as well. So that's just floating around break even at the moment. GBP NZD, we can see that we came into an area of supply. You can't see it to the left, but to the left it's lower low, lower high, chop, 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 lower low. So that creates the supply. Descending liquidity, we ran it, huge buy to sell. And on the lower time frames, we failed to make a higher high, lower low. I'll show you that right now so it's clear. GBP NZD. We came up into that supply, counter trend, high, low, high, low, high, low, failed to make a higher high, lower low. So we came back up into that level, and now we're kind of just floating around break even right now. All right, so boom, boom, boom. That was Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. This was Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Okay, so this was a good one here too. So a Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Where was it? Right there. So we can see that we are currently higher time frame bullish, right? We're making higher highs, higher lows, right? So we could have easily done that. However, lower time frame, we're making lower lows, lower highs. We're in a kind of a pullback phase, higher time frame, right? So at this current time, we were looking at, okay, we came up into a higher time frame level of supply. Came up into that. Well, so what are we going to do? Are we going to fall and make a lower low to continue with the sequence? Or are we going to respect lower time frame structure and continue with this lower time frame bullish run? Right? Because we came into our higher time frame level, so we could have easily made a higher high from here to continue with the lower time frame trend. Right? So I had to hedge. So I hedged at the appropriate spots. I bought it from in here in a little bit of profit. Right when we hit our hedge position, move stop to break even. Then guess what happened? We rolled over, hit stop at break even. Now we're in this huge trade right in there. And now it fell all the way back to the downside. And we currently are in huge profit at the moment, targeting 140, which is an overall level of demand to be looking for potential buys as well. So again, guys, just to recap, this is not an educational video. It's not here for me to sit here and teach you. If that were the case, I would be doing a lot better job of going through, thoroughly the content, describing exactly what's going on, very descriptively. This is not meant for that. This is just to show transparency in the overall trade. So that's why I'm going fast. All right, so huge profit there on, what was it? Swiss franc, Japanese yen. So the first initial long hit break even, right? Because we came back down and because we hit the overall hedge position. Shorts were at 3.75% floating. And then the hedge long, or the hedge long from here, this position, because this could have been just high, low, and then we started the uptrend, right? So that's why we had our lower time frame, our last point of return demand. We lost that 0.5% there as well. So we netted 3.25% on that trade so far. All right, Euro AUD, looking for pullbacks into demand to continue with the overall bullish run. This has not hit yet. There we go. We can see we haven't hit that yet. It's a higher high, looking for a higher low into that demand. Why is that demand? Because look at the counter trend, guys. Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Failed to make a lower low, higher high. Flips from supply to demand. It's that simple. But it just comes down to identifying it and pulling the trigger that a lot of people just can't seem to understand. That's where we come in and help you out with that. So this is just an update again. Hedging shorts with longs. We already talked about that. And then we had, let's see, what is this one? Slight profit at GBP CAD. That was as a prior update. Obviously, the current price is down here now. Longs in profit, GBP Swiss franc. US dollar CAD, we already talked about that one. US dollar Swiss franc. So a couple more here. Where is it? US dollar Swiss franc. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so with US dollar Swiss franc, we hedged our positions again, right? We bought it from that level, hit our take profit, sold it from this level that we talked about, and we're in really good profit at the moment. Then we bought it in here again, got a wick entry, but never came back up to take the previous high, and we ended up rolling back to the downside and hitting stop loss. So that's unfortunate. So we lost 1% there. What was this one? NZD Swiss franc. So hit take profit 1, ended up rolling back to the downside, hitting out break even. AUD Swiss franc looking for pullbacks. We already talked about those two positions, looking for shorts from those levels. Obviously, we haven't hit that yet. We already talked about it. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. We talked about that one as well. That was just an update from the past. Price is now all the way down here. It has hit our overall take profit. I'll just quickly show you, just so I'm not trying to, you don't think I'm lying here. All right, came back down, hit our take profit from that level. Beautiful trade. Same thing. Yep, USD Swiss franc. Just talked about that like 2 trades ago. Same here for Euro USD. Up in good profit. That was just an update at the time. GJ. Okay, great. So this was kind of like Chef J in a sense. We did hedge our positions here. So with GJ, we were thinking, okay, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to go short and continuing with this lower time frame trend, considering the fact that we swept this high and that high, and then lower time frame had in a distribution schematic in here. We distributed lower time frame. I guess I can go into it really quick. Distributed lower time frame, had some divergence, and then we had a massive reaction from it after sweeping liquidity, which is this black line. Okay, so what were we going to do? Were we going to fall or were we going to rise from our overall levels? So lower low, lower high, lower low. Are we going to have a lower high for a lower low? Or are we going to maintain bullish structure here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, to continue with the overall trend of the market? What's going to happen, right? So we hedged our positions, and that's the only thing you can do when the higher and lower time frames are not in alignment with each other. So we had 2 positions. We had one off of a lower time frame supply, and then another one off of another area of supply in here. The reason why we didn't have a third one was because this area of supply, the distribution, had already been mitigated by this push up here, right? So half risk there, half risk here, and then we bought it at 1% risk down in here. So 1% on the shorts, 1% on the buys. We're hedging, right? That makes sense. So obviously the GJ lost on the buys here, so minus 1%. And the second position here, obviously we didn't hit that, so there was no trade, but this one here was half risk, so 2.9 essentially, divided by 2, because a half risk is 1.45%. So we netted 1.45 minus 1 is 0.45, right? I got that because 1.45 here and then minus the 1% loss there. So still aggregate positions in profit. USD Chef could be hedging for our long, so we look to long it here, could be selling here. And right now, price is floating just over a little bit around break even, maybe it's a little bit in drawdown right now. Overall sells on Swiss franc Japanese yen, already discussed that, just giving an update. NZD Euro NZD, remember the sells hit break even because we came into our hedge longs are in really good profit. Euro CAD, this was sent the 20th, so this was actually 2 days ago. We were looking for, higher high, overall pullback, higher low into our area of demand to go long from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches of this retail trend line. I was looking for a push down into the demand to go long and make an overall higher high and sweep retail trader stop losses above that trend line. So let's see what happened. Yep, and that's exactly what occurred. Came down into that level very nicely, and now we're going long. Hopefully we can see the continuation. Got a beautiful wick entry there, and we are currently floating about 2% in profit from this trade. Maybe like, as of right now, maybe like 1.5% or so, something like that. All right, let's continue. I think that is it. This was just the higher time frame zoomed out version. We can see that the mitigation train leading up to the demand zone looks very clean. This is the same thing, right? This area of demand right here is this area of demand right there. I'm just showing you the zoomed out version. We can see demand was mitigated. High, pulled back, equal low swept into this demand. Higher high, pulled back into that demand. Higher high, we pulled back, and that was this demand here. Just can see the mitigation train, just following it all day, every day. GJ, showing you updates there with our positions. Euro CAD called out to perfection, I said. And then right in here, AUD USD came into our first position there, is in profit very nicely. NZD/USD came into our level very nicely and hit overall take profit. And that's it. Then that is it from today. We can see that was today at 10:35 a.m. Eastern time. So the total and everything was 45.5% return from the start of December. So it wasn't as good as our month of November. November, I think it was like 87.9 or something like that. But this month was still very good. I mean, a phenomenal month for the aerial effects community. That's if you followed everything down to a T. And of course, you guys are not going to be able to take every single solitary trade and hit every single solitary, take profit where we have it and stop loss where we have it. But over time, guys, you're going to be able to do this. Learning the strategy learning to take profits and stop losses are just like learning the strategy. It just takes experience. It just takes time. So 45%, what a phenomenal return that was. And the thing is, we don't even trade the latter half of December. So we're really off of trading for the remainder of the year. But still, phenomenal return there, going over every single position, all the wins, all the losses, describing them in all. So hopefully you guys learned something. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me with anything that you have. I'm just trying to provide transparency in an industry where, quite frankly, transparency is lacking. Guys, if you want to be able to take advantage of these trades that we are sending every single day, every single week, every single month, I'm doing full audit videos every single solitary month. Go back and watch them all. They're all on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning how we trade and you're wanting to take these same trades as we're taking every single day that we're sending into our VIP Discord channel, head over to my website, aerialeffectstrading.com. Book a free call with me. I'd love to just chit chat with you about how we can best help you to see, where we could best fit our services into your overall trading journey. And if we're able to help, we'd be glad to extend that invitation. But if not, we're still going to leave you with some really good advice as to what you can do going forward. So we just want to make sure that we are the right fit for you as well as you're the right fit for us as well. Because we do work with a very select few groups of people who really want to build these skills and really wants to become a professional trader, 6-7 figure funded trader over a course of the next 12 months. That's what we're here to do, to help you build that through these trade ideas and through the education that we provide. So guys, have a great rest of your day. Have a Merry Christmas for guys watching this before. This is December 22nd, 2022 that I'm creating this video. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you all in an amazing 2023 year. Take care.